Hello and welcome to Chicago This Week. I'm Karina Wilson. You've probably seen the footage of protesters at college campuses across the country. They're demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. Some demonstrations have led to suspensions, expulsions, and even graduation cancellations. The activism is also happening on Northwestern University's campus in Evanston. We have team coverage of this story. Our Blanca Estrada talked to university faculty members who have joined the protests, but we begin with Haley Samples. She talks to students and organizers, and apparently these demonstrations now have two sides. Right, Haley?
That's right, Karina. A new tent encampment on campus is causing a divide between pro-Palestinian demonstrators and members of the Jewish community. Now, officials at the university say they're looking to intervene.
Free Palestine!
Tensions ensue at Northwestern University following a new pro-Palestine tent encampment.
Long live Palestine!
Students, staff, and Evanston locals gathered around 7 a.m. at Northwestern's Deering Meadow. Here, standing arm in arm with posters and flags, pro-Palestinian demonstrators say they have a list of demands from the university.
We are calling for the divestment of funds from this university in the Israeli apartheid state and research collaborations with Israeli universities, but also in companies like BAE, General Dynamics, and Boeing that profit off of war everywhere.
Melis, a graduate student at the university, says their primary goal with the encampment is to hold Northwestern accountable.
We are centering the people of Palestine in this and their struggle, and we feel as if we have a strong enough community of people who are willing to hold this university accountable.
A community that does include Jewish students and staff. However, some Jewish community members say the demonstration makes them feel uneasy.
I'm very overwhelmed as a Jewish student on this campus. I feel unwelcomed, I feel uncomfortable. Sometimes the humanitarian crisis gets conflated with anti-Semitism, which is the dangers of what's going on right now.
This protest joins a national movement as universities from Stanford to Harvard have set up pro-Palestine encampments. Hours after the demonstration began, Northwestern released an email to students stating, "While we strongly support free expression, the safety of all members of our community cannot and will not be compromised. The university will move forward with other options to protect the safety of the community." Although it is unclear what further action may entail, students say they have no intention of leaving until their demands are met. Now, looking at how faculty are involved, over to my colleague, Blanca Estrada.
Northwestern professors join their students at their encampment, but for them, it means more than stopping the war in Gaza. Protests against the war in Gaza has spread to college campuses. Students at Northwestern University have set up an encampment in solidarity with the Palestinians, and professors have taken a stance.
This is a cause that's really near and dear to my heart. I've been very, very concerned about the genocide that's happening in Gaza.
More than 250 professors are standing by their students.
I think it's really important to many professors to support our students' right to exercise the ability to protest and free speech.
On top of the students and community members, the professors are pressuring the Northwestern administration to agree with the People's Resolution. The resolution asked the university to protect student civil liberties and safety, and partnerships that legitimize genocide and occupation, and disclose and divest from war and apartheid.
I have personally witnessed and been a part of many important moments of teaching and learning about this set of issues and about what it means to engage in principled dissent.
For many professors, this moment is significant for them.
If universities can't be the places where we figure out the really hard things, where we can't open up dialogue and have very different points of view, but also find collective solutions, we're in trouble as a planet.
As of Friday evening, the resolution has more than 2,600 signatures. The students intend to remain on Deering Meadow until the university agrees to the demands in the People's Resolution. An agreement has been reached between the university and the protesters, but now people are criticizing the president for making that agreement. Back to you, Karina.
Thanks, Blanca. Residents in several Chicago neighborhoods are asking why, after a chain of popular grocery stores suddenly shut down. This shocked shoppers and employees. Some workers are now filing a lawsuit for losing their jobs on the spot. Nicole Herzog brings us the story.
It's completely insane.
It started off like a normal day for Foxtrot regulars headed in to get their morning coffee. But then they got this instead.
I thought it was a really not funny joke, honestly, and then that's when my assistant manager was like, no, everything is done for.
Former Foxtrot employees say they were just as blindsided by the popular convenience store and coffee shop chain closing its doors. It happened just a few months after the company merged with high-end grocery store Dom's Kitchen and Market.
For everyone asking, what happened? Foxtrot's always busy. What's going on? We know as much as you do.
Declan Rhodes went viral on TikTok after he said he was working his typical morning shift at the Gold Coast location while his manager was on a call with higher-ups.
She basically tells us that the phone call that they had with the CEO lasted 10 minutes tops. Quite literally, we're closed, take out the trash, kick everyone out. You need to be out by 12.
Former workers across all locations are now banding together after filing this lawsuit. They say the mass layoff violates the federal and state WARN Act, which requires companies with 100 employees or more to notify their workers about layoffs 60 days beforehand.
That didn't happen here. It was just that day we clocked in and then we were just told not to clock out and just to leave the premises.
Alexandra Miraz says the Old Town location's closing forced her to file for unemployment while she scrambles for the next opportunity.
I went back to living with my parents because it's kind of hard out there right now.
Foxtrot did not respond to Chicago This Week's request for comment. After the closing, they issued a statement writing, "We explored many avenues to continue the business, but found no viable option despite good faith and exhaustive efforts."
The entire way this went down just feels so incredibly shady, and I feel like something big might be coming.
The Illinois Department of Commerce has now launched a layoff assistance page for the dozens of workers impacted by those closures, and that information is available on the department's website. For now, live in the loop, Nicole Herzog, Chicago This Week.
Thanks, Nicole. Sudden closures without warning don't typically happen when the business is owned and operated entirely by its community members, or co-ops. Chicago only has one co-op grocery store, but a second one will open in a month. Kennedy Hewitt got a sneak peek and joins us with more. Hi, Kennedy.
Hi, Karina. That's right. This community spent 10 years raising millions of dollars, gaining thousands of supporters, and in just a few weeks, they'll finally have something to show for it.
Chicago's summer means farmers markets and rooftop restaurants. But there's another grand opening food lovers should be on the lookout for. Wild Onion Market is a cooperative grocery store coming to Rogers Park this June.
It would be the second co-op in the city of Chicago.
Meaning it's community owned and community run. And after 10 years in the making, this co-op has over 2,000 owners. All ordinary people with a passion for fresh food.
They're not going to randomly close on you without the oversight of the community that actually owns it.
By June, these empty shelves will be stocked with delicacies sourced within 200 miles of the store.
Creating a cooperative grocery store allows an access to a market for many local vendors.
Driven by fresh produce, opportunity for small vendors, and a mission to give their neighbors a voice.
People need to know what's going on in their food system and know how it serves them.
These grocery store owners finally opened their doors for a sneak peek in April.
You can always become an owner and put your voice where you want to shop.
Welcoming both owners and customers to get a glance of their shared community space.
Hi everybody, I'm Casey Clark-Malott, and this is Chicago This Week Sports. What a week for the Chicago Bears with #1 draft pick Caleb Williams, #9 Roma Dunze. Fans are so optimistic, I was lucky enough to watch the draft live in Detroit. I got immediate reactions as the picks were announced. Take a look.
With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams will, in fact, be the best quarterback in the NFC North, top 5 QB in the NFL.
Many Bears fans made the 4.5-hour drive to Detroit to see their team kick off the NFL draft. For Jordan Howell, the Williams pick is a new dawn for the team.
I was super excited, man. I'm ready for this team to be amazing again. 15-2. That's what I see coming out of this year.
We on the clock right now. The pick is in. I'm calling it before. I can see the future. We getting Roma Dunze.
Chicago Bears select.
For the Chicago Bears, they kicked things off taking Caleb Williams at the first overall pick and following it up with wide receiver Roma Dunze with number 9.
We need a lot of help on the O-line, on the D-end, at receiver. So with such a stacked draft class, I just feel like we can't go wrong.
By day 3, the draft became the most attended ever with over 700,000 passing through the gates. Bears fans, however, began to dwindle, but some still made the commute even for just a day.
We actually just came in this morning to do the 3rd day of it, and my son is a huge football fan.
I like the Bears better than the Lions because I'm from Chicago, but I like them both.
Draft weekend was consumed by 2 words for Bears fans.
Bear down.
Bear down.
Bear down, baby! Bear down!
There were more picks for the Bears throughout the week. Joining me live now to break it all down is Medill sports reporter Dominic Feria. Hi, Dominic.
Hey, Casey.
So the Bears had the fewest amount of picks in the NFL draft. Do you think that they made a big enough splash with their picks?
Yeah, well, I think anytime a team has 2 picks in the top 10 and one being number 1 overall, it's hard not to make a splash. So, look, undoubtedly this was a huge draft for the Bears in the future of this franchise. And I think General Manager Ryan Poles and his team made a lot of great moves before this draft and putting the Bears in this position to succeed. I think getting rid of Justin Fields this offseason really set them up in a good spot to take Caleb Williams number 1 overall in this draft. But I want to start with Roma Dunze, number 9 overall. He was a receiver that was prolific at Washington the last couple of years. He's 6'3", 212. He ran a 4.45 40. I think he has the size and the speed to really excel in the NFL and be a prolific wide receiver. The one thing that the Bears are going to have to prioritize going into next season, something they didn't do well with Justin Fields in his past couple of years, is really protecting their young quarterback. And I think they're set up well to do that this year more so than in the past.
And the Bears addressed the offensive line in the draft, drafting Hinsdale's own Karan Abagaji. What do you make of that selection?
Yeah, this was the Bears' 3rd pick in this draft, and they didn't have a 2nd rounder, so I think they made the best with the prospects, the offensive line prospects that they had. I think they got a really intriguing prospect with this pick. Amagaji is a local product. He's from Hinsdale Central. He played his college ball at Yale. I think he's getting his degree this summer, which is exciting. I think he's 6'5", 323, so he definitely has that NFL size, to be a starting NFL offensive lineman.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. Well, it's no surprise that the new season can't come fast enough for die-hard fans. Bears merchandise is already flying off the shelves. Sean Graney has more on the jersey that has already broken records. Right, Sean?
That's right, Casey. So Bears fans haven't had much to be excited about as of late, with just 10 wins in the last 2 seasons combined. But with the addition of one of the best starting quarterback prospects in the last decade, it may be tough to snag a Caleb Williams jersey until the start of the season. Take a look.
This day's going to go down as an iconic day in Bears history, my friend.
Newly drafted number 1 overall selection, Caleb Williams is already breaking records for the Chicago Bears.
It came out that I passed up Caitlin Clark's record, which is I end up, reposting it and saying, well, I guess that's Chicago for you. So,
on draft night, the Bears' first overall selection in the 2024 NFL Draft broke the record for the most draft night merchandise sold for any draft pick in any sport, set by Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark earlier this month.
When you see all the things that come with Caleb Williams.
Overall, it's a huge increase in our sales because people are just so excited for them to come here. And then people are looking for those jerseys.
Bears fans and Chicagoans alike will look to local sports stores like Rally House Chicago to pre-order and purchase a Williams jersey, one that might not be fully available in stores until this summer.
People are constantly coming in left and right. It's like, when is Kayla coming in? When's the jerseys? When the t-shirts? All you gotta tell them, it's like, right now we don't have them, but it's available online.
was a big Justin Fields guy, and when they let it go, I was heartbroken. But ever since watching Caleb on the field, he is a weapon.
Regardless of the merchandise sales and the off-field popularity, Chicagoans are just excited about what could be next for a franchise that has one winning season since 2011.
I can't wait for the Bears season. It's going to be excellent. I am so excited as a Bears fan.
Contrilla says that Bears shirts and jerseys weren't doing well towards the end of last season, but hopes for a resurgence in sales this upcoming fall season.
If the Bears do go on to become a dominant team in the NFL, then what a better way to enjoy the games than by watching them in a brand new stadium. The team has shared their vision for a future home. Jasmine Thomas was at the unveiling, and she joins us now with the images and the price tag. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi, Casey. The price tag is a steep one, and residents aren't sure if they want to foot the bill. Here's the story. The Chicago Bears unveiled their plans for a new lakeside stadium this past Wednesday. The stadium would cost a total of $3.2 billion, and the owners of the Bears are willing to cough up $2 billion for it, and taxpayers will pay off the rest. Mayor Brandon Johnson is facing major pushback about the stadium. Why? Well, taxpayers still owe $590 million for the renovations made at Soldier Field back in 2003. People don't want to pay taxes on a new stadium when the old one works just fine.
Yes, it's nice to have revenue and a new stadium and all that's great, but it shouldn't be on the taxpayers' backs.
Instead of them getting tax breaks, why don't they pay their taxes and pay for it themselves?
Mayor Brandon Johnson responds, "We're talking about 24,000 jobs. Who's opposed to that? 43,000 jobs for the region? Who's opposed to that?" Former Governor of Illinois, Pat Quinn, held a press conference shortly following the stadium's unveiling. He urges politicians to put the plan on the ballot and let the people decide.
Thanks, Jasmine. On to baseball now. Wrigley Field was built in 1914. It's the second oldest ballpark in the majors, and it's been the home of the Cubs for more than a century. But last Friday night, the field hosted some special guests. King Jemison was at the game. Hi, King.
For most young baseball players, playing at Wrigley Field is a dream. I was in the friendly confines last weekend as that dream came true for two college teams. Though the Cubs were in Boston, there was still baseball at Wrigley Field last Friday. The iconic venue played host to Northwestern for the second straight year as the Wildcats battled Purdue.
Unbelievable opportunity. It's exciting for everyone around the program to play a game at a big league stadium, let alone probably the most historic one in the country.
Northwestern lost 9-3 after Purdue broke open a tight game with a 4-run 8th inning. Fifth-year outfielder Mike Bolton Jr., a Chicago native, stole 2 bases and scored 2 runs for the Boilermakers in his return to the Windy City.
The speed of Bolton shows up.
I knew one thing was going to happen over the weekend. I didn't care if I didn't get any hits. I knew I was going to steal some bases. That was all I needed.
Bolton Jr. grew up a White Sox fan, so it was his first time in the friendly confines.
As soon as I stepped on the field, I was like, wow, man, maybe it is nice to come here a little bit.
Despite the loss, it was still a special night for the Wildcats, as Wrigley's signature lights shone purple.
I'm not going to remember a certain pitch, certain hit here and there, but just being there with the team, it was just a great honor to be a part of.
Pothoff got the start and surrendered just 2 earned runs in 5 innings.
I thought he threw really well. He executed pitches all night.
But Pothoff is a Cardinals fan, so he had some mixed feelings about taking the mound at his arch-rival stadium.
It felt a little sacrilegious, to be honest with you.
The game almost didn't happen at all. Rain stopped just in time for groundskeepers to get the field ready for first pitch. It held off throughout the game.
I'm really grateful for everyone in the Cubs organization. It would have been easy for them to just say, hey, this isn't looking good. We're gonna cancel the game. It was a really special environment for our guys. Thankful to everyone that made the possibility.
Usually, players have to make it to the big leagues to get that opportunity to play at Wrigley Field. For Northwestern and Purdue, the chance came a little early.
Thanks, King. We have more local college news to report. Northwestern Wildcats are Big Ten champions. Again. Women's lacrosse beat Michigan for the title. Karina Wilson has that story.
The Northwestern women's lacrosse team topped Michigan to claim the Big Ten regular season championship for the second straight season.
When we have our energy high, good things tend to happen.
The 13-12 victory is the program's 3rd regular season title in 4 years, but the task was no easy feat.
It was neck and neck until the end. It really came down to like 1 or 2 plays towards the final few minutes. Michigan certainly had every opportunity to win that game.
The Big Ten announced the 2024 Women's Lacrosse All-Conference honors. The Wildcats captained the conference with 5 first-team selections. The reigning national champions clinched the #1 seed in the Big Ten tournament, earning a bye in the first round.
Great opportunity for us to, flip the page, focus on us over the next 2 weeks, and get ready for, whoever we face in that Big Ten tournament semifinal.
Northwestern faces Johns Hopkins at Martin Stadium in Evanston with hopes of attempting another back-to-back win. There's one thing a former CAT national champion can say.
Once you get a taste of it, you want more of it. So if they can keep that going, I think they're the team to beat.
Thanks, Karina. The Illinois High School Association playoffs are coming up, and one boys volleyball team in Niles is hoping for the big things. Our Caleb Nixon talked to that team at Notre Dame College Prep, and he joins us now with more. Hi, Caleb.
Hi, Casey. The Notre Dame College Prep men's volleyball team is experiencing a resurgence, going 5-15 in Peter Maniscalco's first season compared to a present 14-9 record. The 32-year-old alum is leading the program back to relevance.
I want you to change the mindset of defense real quick. Just hear me out.
So the way that we line up, even as small as that is to some people, I think that means a lot to us. They're around each other, they can see each other. They got the court in front of them, they can visualize. And I think we got to have a give and take relationship. We have to be able to hear how they're feeling. We got to hear their emotions sometimes when they get frustrated in a drill or things aren't going their way. We got to be able to talk about it.
That created culture has earned the Notre Dame College Prep men's volleyball team a 14-9 start and a 3-0 record in conference play.
We believe as coaches here that if we want to get to the highest level, we got to play the best teams. We might not be prepared for them at that given time, but we're going to learn something from that.
Caden Frawley is the libero on this young roster, one that has as many sophomores as it does seniors.
We definitely get a little shaken up at times, but here are games where we know we can come out and just fire right away.
With only 6 games left, Frawley has high aspirations for his team as they prepare for the IHSA playoffs.
Beat every team. That's clearly it. We know what we're capable of. We're clearly 3-0 so far. We know we have the capabilities of beating every team in our conference.
4 of those final 6 games are against conference opponents as they wind down their final 2 weeks of the regular season. In Niles for Chicago This Week, I'm Caleb Nixon.
I didn't know this, but apparently Chicago is the most walkable city in the country because you can walk to all the major landmarks in less than a half an hour. That's at least according to one publication. Our Anaya Jones is here to explain why the most walkable city title is great news for one group in particular. Hi, Anaya.
It's such a beautiful day out. The sun is out, people are walking past. We all know that Chicago is known for its breezy lakefront, hence why it's nicknamed the Windy City. But after a recent study, it'll be known for something new. With summer on the way and tourism ramping up, a recent study shows there's reason to make Chicago your next destination. The study, conducted by Preply, found that Chicago is the most walkable city for tourists in the U.S. By this metric, it only takes 28 minutes to explore the city's most famous landmarks, including the Bean and the Magnificent Mile. Pittsburgh resident Margot Kimball says this is true.
I mean, everywhere we've gone this weekend while we've been here has been such an easy walk. It's been so accessible via walking. Everybody bikes, everybody takes the scooter.
Other cities in the top 10 rankings were Nashville, Dallas, Santa Fe, New Orleans, Portland, Boston, Austin, Washington, D.C., and Savannah. But long before this study, Michaela Marcinko, founder of Chicago Girls Who Walk, knew what Chicago had to offer and took advantage.
We started about a little over 2 years ago in March of 2022. Had seen kind of stuff, like most things stem from TikTok. You kind of saw some stuff of people meeting up for walks and things like that. It started then and it just ended up going a little bit, crazy. It's blown up ever since, and just continuously meeting weekly for walks, occasional socials and, fitness group meetups and things like that.
These walks bring hundreds of participants a sense of community, but there are additional benefits.
A 10-minute walk is tremendously beneficial for, again, primary, secondary, tertiary prevention of cardiovascular health and disease. And importantly, that movement, again, particularly walking, is really protective of mental health as well.
According to the Chicago Loop Alliance, the best places to take a walk in Chicago are the Riverwalk, Millennium Park, Maggie Daley Park, and the Lakefront Trail. In Chinatown, Anaya Jones, Chicago This Week.
You would be surprised at how some local artists can take an old, broken down, useless piece of trash and turn it into something new and beautiful. This week, Taylor Anthony takes us to a special market full of these repurposed treasures. Here's her report.
I'm here in Wrigleyville at the Trashy Earth Market, where artisans have transformed reduced, reused, recycled, and reclaimed materials into one-of-a-kind goods.
This event was in partnership with the Nowhere Collective, a community of creatives who use all reclaimed materials and the goods they produce.
The Trashy Market is a place where we bring all these makers together. We get to spotlight what they do and showcase the potential of trash.
Featuring over 25 eco-friendly vendors, locals came out to shop for home goods, art, jewelry, and more.
Here we have a vendor who makes handcrafted and sustainable jewelry from repurposed denim and upcycled leather.
So I hand stamp the leather or cut the denim. I'm pulling apart like couches, to pull the leather off.
This here used to be a dresser. Chris finds old furniture in alleyways and repurposes them into wooden creations.
Find a piece of furniture that's some interesting, actual, real live hardwood, chop it into pieces, and try and figure out what to make out of it.
This market was also in partnership with the nonprofit organization Reduce Waste Chicago. They had a reuse and recycle pop-up where people could donate old clothes, shoes, blankets, towels, and more. Founder Sherry Scalco anticipated 2,000 pounds of goods to be donated.
We collect about 65 materials that are common household items, and we collect them for reuse, repurposing, reclaiming, and recycling.
Reduce Waste Chicago and the Nowhere Collective hope to continue inspiring the community through the creative, zero-waste works by local artisans.
Nearly 140 million tons of trash arrives at landfills each year. This market showed how local artisans are turning that trash into treasure. Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Taylor. Before we leave you tonight, we take a trip to a comedy show that takes weird, bizarre, random, totally disconnected themes and mixes them all together for a hilarious show. Here's Mary Grace Grable with the story.
Live from Gavin's basement, it's Jake and Carsons' $1 billion telethon.
Jake and Carsons' $1 billion telethon sketch comedy show is unlike many others that appear at the Newport Theater.
I asked Carson, would you ever want to host like a monthly show? And in my brain, it's like a standard variety show, and Carson said yes, and then said, I think it should be a telethon every month.
I accidentally called the dog.
The idea was mine. I own all copyright on the telethon.
Hey guys.
Hey, telethon's really interesting because it's our characters have our names, but they're not really like us in any way. We've come up with these weird dynamics that now me and Jake are very connected to.
April 25th, my birthday.
With different forms of media and comedians involved, this month's theme was geared towards their friend's birthday.
The video is about how our stalker kidnaps our characters, Jake and Carson. But the live show is about how the stalker just wants to put on Annie the musical.
Hard knock life for us, it's a hard knock life.
So it's like this disconnect between these two things, but really it's just a telethon episode.
And that just sounded like fun.
Hey, what the heck?
Usually that's really all it is if we throw around ideas and whatever sounds like the most fun to do on stage, whatever makes us laugh the most.
Thanks, Mary Grace, and thank you at home for tuning in to another episode of Chicago This Week. We'll see you next time. Good night.